Welcome to the Universal Broadcasting Network's Hit Afternoon Show, bringing you the latest in music news, artist interviews, and more, with your hosts, Lauren Dair and Sean Lusk. This is the Music Project.
Hello. My name is Lauren Dair.
And I'm Sean Lusk.
And this is The Music Project. It is a solid Sunday here in Los Angeles.
It's
It has
rainy.
been so cold.
I know, huh?
I'm not a wimp. I don't give up. I'm from Alaska. I should be okay with this. But I am freezing all the time.
I'm ready for it to be summer already.
I'm not ready for summer because summer where I live is 112 degrees. But I'm okay with some warmer weather.
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
be okay going back to shorts and tank top season for sure. And I think the thing about here is there's wind. In Alaska there's no wind. It's just dry cold.
Yeah.
It's just I'm cold but I can put a jacket on and it's fine.
That's what makes Southern California cold in general is the ocean breeze.
Exactly. Yeah, and then I live in a valley. I live, so it's 10 degrees hotter than everywhere else and 10 degrees colder than everyone else, just depending what the weather is. So you can't win. You can't win. It's ridiculous. But
I was just going to say, who do we have on the show today, Lauren?
we have an awesome guy that I actually found via Discover Weekly on Spotify probably a few months ago, named Brendan James. And you're calling all the way from South Carolina, right?
Yeah, what's up, guys? I'm in Charleston.
Charleston. How's the weather over there? Probably a lot warmer than where we're at.
You probably don't want me to tell you.
What is it? Ugh.
It's about 75,
Ugh.
and we've just had a really oddly awesome week. I mean, that's what's cool about living down here is that it gets kind of cold.
Yeah.
The winter is not always enjoyable, but there's always the chance of having a small heat wave, no matter what part of the year, time of the year you're in. So we've just been in this awesome, 65 to 80 sort of a week.
Jealous.
It's been nice.
It's winter. It's summer and winter
I
all at the
know.
same time.
No, it's crazy. So I've been outside pretty much all day except for the last 2 hours. I've been buried in my studio.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and go all the way back to the beginning, back when you were first starting music. Tell us about how you got started. Did you come from a musical family, or was it something that you picked up on your own? And what kind of led you to decide, hey, I want to be a musician as a career?
Yeah, I think I'm one of those sort of rare people that went into went to the music profession, but without having a musical family. I definitely did singing when I was younger, and sort of realized when I was around 10 or 12 that I liked to sing, but it was school plays and I was in chorus on and off. And then it wasn't until I was 17 or 18 that I really got interested in music and the piano and writing. And it all started really late for me.
Awesome. And so taking that, what artists inspired you and what were you listening to and what really kind of got you interested in music?
A really important part of my story is a music mentor that came into my life when I was about 17, actually. And I'm so glad he did. He introduced me to really the greats. I used to go over to his apartment and he would just play me records and say, hey, if you're getting this interest in songwriting and lyric writing, then you need to listen to Bob Dylan and to Elton John and James Taylor and Stevie Wonder. And, this is my first real introduction, or at least a focused introduction to these artists. And man, that there's something just crystallized in those first couple of years, and I was hooked for life.
Yeah. And then having that, kind of evolving and then, becoming, I guess, a musician more professionally, taking those initial influences and then finding artists that really kind of inspired you to make your own music. Who would you say that you mostly, what resembles your music? What did you kind of use to model it?
Wow. I don't know. I don't know if I think modern music-wise, Coldplay has sort of been a mainstay for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like Keane. I like Band of Horses. I was in a Ben Folds stage for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what I lean towards is pop, but definitely interesting pop.
Yeah.
Pop that can sort of challenge your ear and your thought process. That's kind of where I try to live.
I kind of got like a Ben Rector a vibe as well.
Yeah, Ben's awesome.
Awesome. So what originally attracted me, I guess, to your music, because again, I found you via Discover Weekly on Spotify with Let You Go. And I loved it, and it was something that really got my whole body moving, and it really wanted to get me involved. And, it took active listening. But at the same time, it was one of those songs that I listened to, and it was like, this could be in a movie. Like, I could totally picture this in the background scene of, like, a bar, or, they're going to the beach and they're doing whatever, and I could so vividly picture it. That's what originally caught my attention. So you have this very cool placement vibe as well, where I could totally see it fitting into these scenes of movies or TV shows.
I don't know what that is. That has followed me my whole writing career, and I love it. I take it as a compliment, but I don't know how and why that keeps happening. I think maybe because I can be dramatic, and I love just like big sweeping moods and big choruses, and I really want to make my goal with almost every song, certainly every show, kind of run the whole gamut of emotions. So the audience comes in. If they're there with me for 2 hours, then we're going to try to do it all. We're going to dance, and we're going to get really emotional in the middle, maybe cry, maybe just really think about our lives, and then we're going to feel good again. And so, I don't know, maybe each song is this little microcosm of a lot of emotion.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I just went out to L.A. to write actually for some films that I can't quite disclose yet, but
Fair enough.
It was such a fun process. I hadn't really done that in a long time, just gone out and specifically said, okay, these feature films need these certain songs. Let's just have fun with it.
When writing your stuff, did you ever try to write it for placement? Like, was that ever a goal of yours, or was it something that just kind of came up while you were writing?
Yeah, I never really do that. I always try to, I'm weird. If I write a song, I have to just be, I don't know, from this very pure place about me or someone I know. And I've always had a hard time just saying, all right, let's just write a song because it's a song. Let's just write it about whatever. It never finishes. Yeah. So this is one of my first times really doing that. Just saying, okay, this is not about me or someone I know. What are these characters in the movies? What can these characters evoke in me that I could then write a song about? So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but at the same time, you can think of it almost as like a puzzle, and then you can put yourself into that puzzle. How would I feel if I was so and so and I was doing this? And when you start getting into like weird sci-fi movies or things that are totally far out there reaching, it takes a little creativity, but if you're a decent writer, you can figure it out.
Yes, especially if you're a writer who's been in his head a little too much the last couple of months trying to write his own new music. That it's nice to get out of your head and write just something.
When it comes to writing, do you like sit down and say, hey, I'm going to write a song right now? Or is it like ideas that come to you, say walking your dog or in the shower or whatever?
Man, everybody's so different with that. With me, I definitely start at a piano or in a studio, usually sitting at a piano, and I just sort of mess around with some melodies for days and days until certain verse melodies strike me or chord progressions strike me as something that's not only catchy, but, that really kind of digs in, makes you feel something too. And then as those get stuck in my brain, I can walk away from the studio or the piano and sort of go about my life and hope that the gods of lyrics and the gods of melody can come to me, when I'm just driving around in my car. And oftentimes that does happen.
Bless you with some brilliant idea.
Wait, what?
I said, and bless you with some brilliant idea.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. I know every songwriter says it, but it's really true. You really have to get to this point of surrender and just be like, the good idea, the great idea, the brilliant idea is not going to be mine. It's going to come through my body. My body is a vessel for it, but have to remain this open channel, and the good stuff will find you if you're living, sort of in line with your own life. It does find you.
Yeah, it was interesting. Last semester I was taking a course the course was entitled Popular Culture. It was anything but what one of our main topics was talking about the idea of genius and what genius is and how it comes to people and how people have these genius grand ideas and all the various forms of what people believe. You know, some people believe that it is this tiny, like, invisible goblin that like gives you these things, and you have to listen for it. Other people think it's you're born with it. You're born with this gift and you have to, unlock it. There's so many different ideas on what genius is. But I think what it really comes down to is being open to the environment around you and the ideas and the people and the events that make up our world, and being willing to listen to it and just try everything, because eventually something's going to stick.
Yeah, that's a really good way to say it. And I think you build up skill over the year. You build up knowledge of how to capture those ideas that float into your head and how to insert them into your art in a certain way. That takes a lot of practice. But I think the actual gems themselves, nobody's really born with those gems. I think you got to remain open.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. I totally think so. So let's go ahead and take a listen to one of your songs. The first one that I have queued up here is Easy on You. And tell me a little bit about this song.
This song, it's really a love song, kind of. It's a direct message from me to my wife. It's sort of abstract, but what it comes down to is the touring life, as has been written about by many an artist before me. The touring life does take a toll. And sometimes I wake up when I'm off the road and I look at her and I'm like, wow, you are still doing this with me. We're still just as strong as we've been for almost 12 years now.
Wow. And
not only that, but we've created a whole life together. And, it just takes such a strong person to be the partner of a touring artist. Mm-hmm. And I think at the end of the day, sometimes I know how hard it is for her. And this idea came to me to just try to make this song about that. Yeah. So this is really for her.
Awesome. I love that. And I think it's hard. And a lot of people think of it as being this glamorous thing where you're on tour buses or private jets and you're, get catered food, but it's a lot of late nights. It doesn't start in a tour van. It starts in a 16-passenger van with all your stuff being hauled in a U-Haul in the back. Yeah. It's not glamorous. It's nothing like that until you are one of the big 1% of superstars. But to have someone go through that and be understanding and be willing to work with you through that is truly, truly special.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, let's take a listen to Easy on You by Brendan James.
I miss the one that I was on the day I met you. You miss the care and the trust of a common man. A place to take in a breath and a hallelujah without a plan. I wish that there was a word for the way I love you. I'd speak it now and again in 100 years. Without the action, words mean nothing to you. So I am here. Wake me up when the trees on the interstate rise so high to bury all my mistakes. I wanna make this easy on you, baby, baby. Say, take me down where the fog on the Everglades burns so hot it fires up my old ways. I wanna make this easy on you, baby, baby. Say, oh, 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 oh. I wanna make this easy on you, baby, baby. I dreamt that I was the one who could bring you comfort, a place to hide when the rain and the clouds roll through. But like it seems, it's a dream where the best is always control. Wake me up when the trees on the interstate rise so high and bury all my mistakes. I wanna make this easy on you, baby, baby. Say, take me down where the fog on the Everglades burns so hot, fires up my old ways. I wanna make this easy on you, baby, baby. Wake me up when the trees on the interstate rise so high. Bury all my mistakes. Take me down where the fog on the Everglades burns so high. Fires of my own. Wake me up when the trees on the interstate rise so high. Bury all my mistakes. I wanna make this easy on you, baby, baby. Say, take me down where the fog on the Everglades burns so high. Fires up my old ways. I wanna make this easy on you, baby, baby. I'll make this easy on you, baby, baby. Gonna make this easy on you. I'll make this easy on you. Gonna make this easy on you. I'll make this easy on you. Gonna make this easy on you. I'll make this easy on you.
That was Easy on You. Such a beautiful song. I love it. I'm like, I love when
you.
songs are dedicated to people and you know the specific story behind them because it fills it with so much more meaning and thought, and you look at them in a different way. You know, there's a different perspective in it. I just think it's great.
Oh, thank you very much.
So, on the topic of touring, do you have any particular shows that are like really memorable or are really dope?
It's so funny. There's been a lot. One that stands out, though, I had one of the best tours of my life a couple of years ago. Just sometimes the combination of people, the opening act that we had, the band that I was playing with, it was just the part of my career that I was in, which was sort of between doing whatever I want and kind of then getting back into the framework of the music industry. Just all the stars collided, and there we were in the Northwest, the Pacific Northwest, and played a show at this small place in Seattle called Tractor Tavern, and it just filled with people. It was the opener's last night, and the band, we had decided to make him take a shot between every song that he sang in his set, and he did like a 9-song set. So he could not even finish his last 2 songs, but he stayed out on stage, and we loved him so much. We just had such a good time, just kind of giving him a bunch of crap. And then he came out on our set, even though he shouldn't even have been standing. I mean, he should have just been like in a bed, but he came out, and we just had such a good time. It was like a party. Our whole set was a party.
Who was
And
the
then
opener?
at the end, and there's pictures of this. I love it. There's pictures on Facebook, I think, still. There's a video of him being so drunk. All of us got pretty drunk. But he was just like front and center and started texting on stage. Like just completely forgot that like we're all friends and we're hanging out, but that there was also like a few hundred people like just crammed to the front of the stage actually watching a show.
Yeah.
And we just watched that video over and over, and just getting his phone out and like starting to text because he got some important text, and it was just like the wildest night. It's so funny.
Who was the opening group?
Oh, I don't know if I should say his name. Brian Jarvis.
Okay. All right. Very cool. We won't judge him.
He's gonna laugh.
He will
If
be.
he hears this, he's gonna laugh. You know, he knows how much I love him, and he knows, man, that was just one of the best tours. It was all about the people that were part of it. I'll never forget that run up the West Coast. It's awesome.
For you, what do you like more? And I know this is a really difficult question because they're so very different, but are you more of the person that likes being in the studio and writing and really working on your songs and putting out an album, or are you someone who really likes being on the road and touring?
You know, when it gets really difficult, this career, which it does, you know, often, I am glad to say that I love both of those things a lot. It's the weird downtime in between, or it's when the tour gets crazy logistically, or when there's too many radio performances in the middle of a week of shows, or your voice goes out. You know, it gets really hard. But I have to say, when it's going well on tour,
Yeah.
I love it. And when it's going well in the studio, I absolutely love the studio too. So it's a good feeling, I guess, to know I do love what I do.
It's kind of a toss-up, and it's hard because getting that like live reaction from people is so overwhelming and so gratifying. Like, oh, this is why I do what I do. But at the same time, you know, when you're being creative and you're really writing songs and you're getting it out and putting it out there for people to listen to initially, that's like your creative process. So it's two very different angles, I guess, at the industry, but both are great nonetheless, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no. And if I had to rate one over the other, I would probably rate live shows, because you can't really top that feeling. It's just the adrenaline, and it really is a drug. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it beats any roller coaster or any horror movie or drug, really, because there's just nothing like it. And then you get off and you have this like post-concert depression, and then you're like, oh wait, I gotta go do it again tomorrow.
Exactly. That's why if you ever meet a musician and they just seem like almost annoyingly chilled out throughout their day, or they wake up late, or it's like you see them in a restaurant and they're just like, their eyes are barely open. It's because they're saving, it's because they're saving everything they have until that 9 p.m. hour, and then they have to just give it all. But the rest of the day, you just have to sit there and save it.
Good to know, putting in perspective.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize that music was actually a career that you wanted to pursue?
I guess right at the end of college, when I wasn't really paying attention to the classes as much, and was really writing a lot of songs, and had already kind of set my sights on moving to New York. And I don't know, once I got to New York, it's funny, I worked at this really crappy little job and didn't have much money and had no real career to speak of at all. I barely had more than 10 songs, but I really mean this, I never thought it might not work out. I guess it was just youth and sort of blind ambition. But once I got to New York and started performing a couple times, I was like, I never started thinking of a plan B. I just was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yep. You know, I think there's a moment where you don't even care either, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go broke.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll work at a diner and I'll do music on the side. You know, I think that you at some point surrender part of yourself and be like, all right, well, I've realized that this is it. This is all that I'm going to have.
Yeah, exactly. Those were really special years. I was just in New York a couple weeks ago and walking around my old stomping grounds, and I was in that city for about 7 years and just really loved it.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, let's take a listen to another song. I have Yellow Lines queued up, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but this is the one that I was listening to, and I was like, wow, I can picture this just being in a car, in a movie, people on a road trip, like just playing in the background. It fits so perfectly, and it has this vibe about it that you really connect to, but it also kind of makes you think about your own experiences. You know, it makes you think about your friends and your family and the trips and the memories that you've made together. So tell me just a little bit about what inspired this song.
I'm glad that it makes you feel that way. That's hopefully the intent. It's about adventure. It's about your own adventure. You know, mine specifically, obviously the song starts talking about South Carolina, and it talks about, which is where I live now. It talks about just going around the country and jumping in rivers and checking out pine trees. And in a way, it's just really, I've been living my dream for the last 10 years, which is starting a family, but also traveling the country and seeing every city and national park and, just trying to live in the moment. It's been good. So that's what this song's about.
I like it. All right, well, let's take a listen to Yellow Lines.
I came back to find you, South Carolina. Heard from the Golden Gate you'd come back in style. House by the ocean, beating my heart again. Starting a family on nickels and dimes sometimes. All those yellow lines winding through the pines drop you in the ocean like a stone. Now your body's home, now you're free to roam, laughing 'cause you know you're not alone. Step out on the dance floor, she throws me a handful, wants me to spin her around the rest of the night. Look up, we're like, oh shit, the clock's on the floor again. Yes, I could spin you around the rest of our lives sometimes. All those yellow lines winding through the pines drop you in the ocean like a stone. Now your body's home, now you're free to roam, laughing 'cause you know you're not alone. Not alone. And the only heartache that I ever faced was a need of fortune and a dream of fame. I took those empty feelings and turned them into love. It cheats time, it's the eye in the storm of the universe. I got mine. Where do you think that you will find your sometimes all those yellow lines winding through the pines drop you in the ocean like a stone. Now your body's home, now you're free to roam, laughing 'cause you know you're not alone. You're not alone.
That was Yellow Lines by Brendan James. You see what I mean? Like, we were talking about this while it was playing. I was like, it has, from the minute that kick drum comes in, you just have this feeling. You're like, all right, I know exactly where this is going. I know exactly what, where I could see this fitting in. I love it.
Thank you. That feels good. It's weird to listen to your own music, but
Right?
people always ask me if I do, and I don't. But it's weird. After you said what you said, I kind of listened to it with that in mind, and yeah, that song just is fun. It's just about the fun moments of the last few years for me.
Yeah. Do you have, you said that this is one of your favorites, but do you have any other songs that you've written that personally you just absolutely love and you wish, like, you wish that could be your marking factor, what people know you for?
I'm getting to the point now. I have 5 albums, and I'm like, I just, whatever people want to discover. I go through all these different phases in my life and my writing career, and now I'd just be happy if I get discovered by any new fans. I'm always proud to get new fans and whatever they gravitate towards.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it all at this point.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And, you've had, such a long career at this point. You've 5 albums. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've had this time to really evolve through each one. Your sound kind of changes just a little bit, just enough to keep things exciting and keep things growing and making it a little bit more fun and challenging for you as an artist, correct?
Oh, yeah. That's really the fun of it. And it's this weird thing. You're sort of, I don't know, you're like in this race against time in a way, because I do feel like my best albums are ahead of me. Mm-hmm. And yet I've done so much touring already, but I really do feel like the evolution, because I've tried to stay so focused, it's really coming to fruition around now. And so I'm like super excited for these next couple albums that I release. And I don't know, I'm working on them right now, and they're just different. I think they're better. I think it's coming out of me a little more clearly. That's how I can describe it.
So you say you have your next couple planned out. So do you know what you want them to sound like, or what, whether it's a concept album or whether it's, not, do you know what you want to do with them for, you said several in the future?
Well, I will say to any of my fans or friends that are listening right now, I got off the road at Thanksgiving, and I probably have 60 songs started, and I don't know. I have no idea when I haven't really finished many of those 60, but I just sort of see a couple albums taking shape over the next few years with a lot of the things I've started right now. So it's weird. You just I'm throwing a bunch of stuff up against the wall, because I feel like with The Howl, I really pushed myself to new heights. And once you do that, you're like, shit, I gotta keep pushing myself, because I've never been someone who wants to create something worse than the product before. So I always push.
And I think part of being a artist is always kind of being unsatisfied, and that might sound weird, but I think there's part of you as someone who's always growing and someone who's always evolving, that once you release that album, you listen to it and you're like, I mean, I could do better. Like, I know I can do better. There's songs that I want to write, and there's things that I want to get out there. And you're like, I'm going to just go ahead and start writing and work on something new and get that next part out there. Not saying that what you did wasn't good, but you just feel like I can do more. I can keep it up. I can do something that's even bigger and better,
Yep. And what I think a lot of people who aren't in the business don't realize is that once the CD is released, or the music is released to fans, that means the artist has spent like thousands of hours with that CD. They've already spent on those songs. Writing one song for me usually takes, I don't know how to quantify it, but probably like 300, 400 hours. So you've spent that much time on each song, and then you're producing it, and you're in the studio, and it probably takes 20 or 30 hours in the studio for that one song, and then you're mixing it, and it takes another 10 hours. It's just like, you've heard that album so many times.
You're over it.
You really are ready. You're ready to move on. You're ready to which is probably a good thing, because then you better start getting going. You can have new material a year later.
Exactly. But, and then you go on tour, and then you're playing those songs over and over again. They might be, and especially if it's like a single that's being released on the radio, and, you hear it on every station, and then you have to go play it night after night, and you're so sick and tired of that song. But that's what got you to be where you are. Yep,
exactly.
I was telling someone about it.
And they take on new lives, too, throughout the years. There are definitely songs I've played a million times, but I'll go 4 months without playing it, and someone will request it, and I'm like, oh, I like this one. Cool.
Exactly.
I'm not sick of it.
Yeah, and I think, and some songs you write to be personal for you, and it's something that, is very close to your heart, or something that means a lot to you, and then as you share it with fans and you start hearing their stories and how they relate to it, it becomes something totally different. It's still your baby, and it's still something very, your passion project, but at the same time you see how it's affecting other people and how they're reacting to it, and you kind of rediscover it, I guess.
Exactly.
Very nice. So you are writing, obviously. Do you have any shows upcoming? I know you said you got off tour back in Thanksgiving, but anything that people can expect from you, I guess?
I'm in the midst of planning that right now. I didn't quite think I'd get home and delve so deeply into writing. I thought I sort of was just going to keep the touring going, but I've sort of been enjoying this, and I don't want to break it up right now.
Fair enough.
I have I'm definitely touring. I'm playing Yountville Live in Napa in March. I think it's 17th. That festival is going to be really fun.
Very cool.
And by Napa, I mean in Yountville. Sorry. But that's the first show I have on the books this year. And then May, I'm planning a whole run up the West Coast for about 3 weeks, which will be some public shows and some private shows.
Yeah.
And then June through the end of July, I'll be out again doing the same thing, but some festivals and some markets in like Montana and Colorado that I haven't hit before. I'm going to call it the Mountain Tour. And actually, that tour is going to start in Chicago, so figure that out. It's crazy.
Very cool. No, so there's definitely some stuff coming up.
It's insane. The fall, actually, I think I'll be in the Netherlands a bit because I'm signing a small deal with a record company in Holland that loves The Howl, and they love Bring My Love Home and Easy on You, so we're going to partner up and try to get that music over to Europe this year. So
awesome.
It's going to be busy.
So 2017 is definitely your working year. You're just in the beginning, the midst of planning all of this, but it's, as we get into March now, it's go time.
I know. It's like I can feel the momentum sort of turning, and I'm like, no, I just want to stay in my studio. Let me write.
It has to be this very kind of uneasy feeling because you're like, yeah, well, I'm so excited for it because I'm going to go do all these things, but at the same time, it's, you're leaving your cocoon, you're leaving your little nest to go back out into the world. I
know, and all I can say is that what I've learned is that you get experiences and you make memories. There's a lot of things do happen the second that I do leave. So I know that good inspiration comes from travel too. So that's the upside.
Perfect. Well, we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us and taking the time out of your Sunday to come and talk to us. We really appreciate it. Before we go, can you give out your social media so people know where to find you and they can learn about your upcoming tours and music and anything else you have coming up?
Sure. Yeah. Twitter, I'm just B. James Music. You can check out my Facebook page, which is this Brendan James band page. I would say that's the best way to kind of keep an eye on me. I'm always posting on that. And then you can go to my website as well, which is brendanjames.com.
Awesome. And the last
Instagram as well is B. James Photos with an F. B. James Photos with an F.
B. James Photos with an F. Got it. Well, thank you so much. And the last song that we have queued up is Bring My Love Home. So tell us a little bit about this song.
Sure. This is a first song for me in several years that I've actually gone to radio with, and it's starting to get a buzz, and it feels really good. We got picked up by a lot of stations towards the end of last year. So we're on the radio, and this song is, it feels really good. The song's just about, you'll hear it in the lyrics, but once again, it's sort of the life that I live, which is 2 lives, touring and family. I have 2 kids now. They mean absolute world to me. And so this is sort of to them to say, hey, Dad does have to leave, but I'll come home and I'll stay who I am and be grounded and centered and try to be the best dad I can too. So
I love it. Well, thank you again. Go have a great rest of your Sunday with your family. And this is Bring My Love Home by Brendan James.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Ten years I've walked down this path, destined and dressed in black, where the cost is high and the pay I'm taking back. 10 years you stood by my side, casting an angel's light, and your heart's so heavy because all you feel is love. I will return, just like every other time I left your side. Said from the great escape to the great unknown, I will always bring my love home. From the highest high to the lowest low, I will always bring my love home. From the northern sky to the inner star, I'll bring my love home. makes you breathe. Dream not and fall asleep, 'cause the grave you'll lie in will be dug in half as deep. I'll chase the fire, but be home again to stand right there beside you. Said from the great escape to the great unknown, I will always bring my love home. From the highest high to the lowest low, I will always bring my love home. From the northern sky to the endless snow, I'll bring my love home. Wherever I feel your heartache, I will come running your way. If ever I feel your heartache, I will come run, I will come run. From the great escape to the great unknown, I will always bring my love home. From the highest high to the lowest low, I will always bring my love home. From the northern skies to the endless snow, I'll bring my love home. I'll bring my love home.
That was Bring My Love Home by Brendan James. We are all done today on The Music Project, but my name is Lauren Dair,
And I'm Sean Lusk.
and this has been The Music Project. See you guys later.
Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's UBN